What's up, my YouTube family? Welcome back to the Gaming Brigade. And as the year starts to wind down, which sounds insane because I just can't believe it's already the middle of December. But anyway, one thing I like to do at this time of year is put together a series of videos where I not only highlight some of my favorite builds in the game, I also go over some builds you've requested that I put together, one of which being a Brazos Empress International legendary skill build, which is great whether you're running solo or in a group. Now, if you happen to enjoy this video, do me a favor really quick and hit that like button. It really does help the channel out. You can feel free to subscribe or join as well, and we do have giveaways here. Our current one is for an Xbox Series S. To enter, all you need to do is subscribe here or follow on Twitter, and the winner will be announced December 31st of this year. Now, as I mentioned at the beginning of every build video I put together, I want to remind especially new and returning players, this is just a template. There are so many different ways to run with the skill build. The most important thing is to try out different variations and really put something together, that you enjoy using. And secondly, as we go through this build, you may not have certain pieces of gear that I highlight. As always, I will also give you some options as well. And one thing I want to make sure I point out before we get into the breakdown is that this build is far from being perfect. And the reason I want to bring that up is obviously I'm limited to the build I can put together based on the actual gear that I get when I'm farming. And the reason I bring that up again is because even if you do not have the perfect pieces of gear that you're looking for, you can still put something together that can get the job done. As always, we are going to start off with the specialization. I'm using Technician for two main reasons. First of all, it's going to give us that extra skill tier, which means we can re-roll one of our core attributes on another piece of gear to either weapon damage or armor. And secondly, the specialization also gives you a 12% damage bonus to drones, skill proxies, and robotics. And because we're running legendary, you're running into that all the time, so it'll definitely help you out 100%. Now, as we make our way to the weapons, my primary weapon is the Capacitor Exotic Assault Rifle. Absolutely love this thing. Now, if you haven't gotten it ever before, you can get it as a guaranteed drop on completing certain challenges in the summit, and if you've gotten one, maybe you want to get another, or you accidentally broke it down or whatever. It's also in the general loot pool, so you can farm for it anywhere the assault rifle is the targeted loot. It is by far one of the best assault rifles in the game. I strongly suggest if you do not have it, make it a priority to get it. And my secondary is the Harmony Rifle, and it's so effective because it has the talent perfectly in sync, where hitting an enemy grants 20% skill damage for 5 seconds, using a non-shield skill or damaging an enemy with a skill grants 20% weapon damage for 5 seconds, and then damage increases are doubled while both buffs are active at the same time. Now, if you do not have the named version, and let's say you don't have the capacitor as well, honestly, I just recommend throwing an assault rifle as the primary, rifle as the secondary, your handgun, all three of which can have the regular talent in sync on there, because even though it's not the perfect talent, it still puts out a ton of damage. Now, moving on to the gear itself, you can see I'm running 3 Empress International, 2 Brazos, and 1 Hannah U. Starting with the mask is the first piece of Empress, and we're running all 3 so we get all of the brand set bonuses, which are 10% skill health, 10% skill damage, and 10% skill efficiency. So for this version of the build, I'm trying to stack skill damage and skill haste everywhere I can. If I can stack some, skill duration, I like doing that as well. Again, this is how I like to run with the build. Moving on to the body armor, it's a second piece of Empress, and we're using the talent Kinetic Momentum. When in combat, each skill generates a stack while active or not on cooldown. Stacks increase your total skill damage by 1% and total skill repair by 2%, up to 15 stacks per skill. Again, this is one of the best talents in my opinion you can have for a skill build. Moving on to the holster, it's the Picaros holster, the first piece of Brazos, which is going to give us that 10% skill haste bonus. You can see I've got maxed out skill damage, maxed out weapon damage, and we have that maxed out armor as well. Absolutely love this piece. Moving on to the knee pads, third and final piece of Empress International, and we are again stacking skill damage. Don't really need crit hit chance, but again, this is the best piece that I have. Making our way to the gloves, they are the second piece of Brazos, which is going to give us that extra skill tier, which means we can re-roll one of our core attributes to either armor or weapon damage. Again, this is the best piece that I have. I just haven't had really any good luck getting some decent Brazos gear. And finally, my friends, we have the backpack, which is the named Hannah U bag Force Multiplier, and the main reason we're using this bag is because it has the talent Perfectly Combined Arms, where shooting an enemy increases skill damage by 30% for 3 seconds. Now, if you do not have the named version, you do have a few different options here. You could use a regular piece of Hannah U, which is going to give you that extra 10% skill haste, and you can put the regular talent Combined Arms on that. Or let's say you don't care about skill haste at all, you can just toss a piece of wyvern there, which is going to give you an extra 10% skill damage. You can then put the regular talent combined arms on that bag, and once again, even though it's not the named talent, it still puts out enough damage to easily get the job done. For the skills, I'm using my two favorite, the assault drone and the assault turret, and this goes back to something I said earlier. If you happen to enjoy a different skill that you want to use, try different variations out. Like I said before, there's no one way to do this. So really take the time and try to make the build your own. I'm sitting at 1.1 million armor. You may want to sit at 1.3. You may say to yourself, I just need 700,000. Again, try those variations out, my friends. Now, one thing I strongly recommend to those of you that are just getting into legendary content is to try out your build on legendary content in the summit first. That way you can get a feel for how the build responds to your gameplay. Again, the summit for some reason is much easier than the stronghold, so that way you can test it out and make a determination on what you want to keep and what you want to change. Most of you know by now that one of my favorite aspects about putting these build videos together is the family that we have here at the channel. So as always, if you have any tips or tricks you want to pass along to new and returning players, please let me know, as the main goal is to help out as many people as we can. With all that being said, I'm going to start to wrap this up. Now, as I mentioned at the beginning of the video, this is going to be a series I'm putting together between now and the first week of January, where I'm highlighting just some of my favorite builds. If there happen to be any builds you want to see, please let me know and I will try to get them to you as quick as I can. On that note, I'm going to let the rest of the video play out, and like I said at the beginning of this thing, if you happen to be new here, feel free to hit that subscribe or join button. If you enjoyed this, you could hit that like button as well, but most importantly, take care of yourselves, be kind to each other, and we will talk to you soon. Thanks again, everyone.
We got TI targeting hostile.
assistance needed.